everyone, my name is Megan, and today I'm going to be giving you my review of Jujutsu Kaisen Execution. I saw this movie on Saturday, December 6th. It was only out for a couple days, most anime movies are. I think it came out on the 5th, and it's only like 5th, 6th, 7th maybe. It doesn't have a long period in theaters. I had performances earlier in the day that I had to be in, and so I saw it at 10 p.m. And because I was at a 10 p.m. showing of a shonen anime, which means that it's catered towards like teen boys, I was the only woman in there. There were 8 other guys. There were 2 groups of 3, what looked to be high schoolers, and then 2 like guys in their mid-20s together who sat like way up in the back. None of them bothered me, none of them talked to me. This is a really big time for the Jujutsu Kaisen, oh my gosh, I can't even say it, the JJK fandom, because a lot of big things are happening. A lot of media is coming out and being released. We've got JJK Modulo in the works. That's Akutami Sensei's new manga, which is basically a sequel series. And most importantly, season 3 is being released on January 9th, I believe, worldwide. And this film, Execution, covers basically the first part of season 3. They've done episode compilations before. They released Hidden Inventory Premature Death as a film, and those were basically like the first 2 episodes of season 2. And it's my understanding that Execution is like the first 2 or 3 episodes of season 3. So it's basically just giving us a little pre-release teaser, I guess, of the very first section of season 3. However, there was a big aspect of the film that I was not expecting, and I'm not too happy about it. I'm very torn about how to rate this movie. It almost ends up coming out average in my rating because there was one part of it that I really, really loved and thought was absolutely amazingly done, and one part of it that I was not thrilled about. And nobody told me this was going to happen. All my friends were like, oh, let's not give spoilers, and I wish they would have told me because this was not a spoiler. So I'm going to tell you guys, please be aware that half the movie, 45 minutes of the hour and a half, is a recap of season 2. If you don't know, season 2 is one of the most devastating mass casualty events in all of anime history. It's extremely emotionally traumatic. Everything bad happens to every single one of the leading characters, not to mention all the people in the city who die. The movie Execution is rated R for quote-unquote bloody violence, and I'm pretty sure that's only because they included the Shibuya incident. The second part was not terrible. The first part, which is Shibuya, if you know, is very, very bad. I wasn't expecting that to happen. My friend told me there was a recap, and I thought that meant 5 to 10 minutes of, hey, just remember that Gojo is sealed, and this happened, and these people are dead. No, 45 minutes. I feel like I need to warn people that it does open with the scene where Itadori is on his hands and knees, clawing at the ground, screaming his head off. I did see the sub, so I saw it in the original Japanese because I speak Japanese and it's just like a little easier for me to follow because I don't like the dub voices. And I know that people who saw the dub also said it was really, really emotional and the voice actors did a really great job. But there's a lot of screaming in the Shibuya arc. When I watch anime at home, I typically watch the cozier the shoujo series like Fruits Basket. And my mom complains, the only anime character she knows by name is Kyo Soma because he's always yelling. And my mom walks into the room and she's like, oh, it's Kyo again. What's he so mad about? That's nothing compared to this. They had the volume on loud. I was thinking of like going out and saying, hey guys, there's a lot of screaming in here. Can you like turn it down a little? Because I was surprised my mom didn't come over from the next theater and march in and be like, why are they screaming? Because it was so loud. So be prepared for that if you've seen season 2, you know, there's a lot of screaming, but like I wasn't expecting that to be in there. And basically I feel like I was just sitting there almost bored because I didn't really want to see the emotional devastation again. I didn't really need to see the recap. I saw the season pretty recently, and it felt like when we went to see the most recent Mission Impossible movie, and it had this ginormous recap that was really boring and took up half the movie and we almost fell asleep. We can link that review up here. It was basically the same thing. I don't know if I would rate the first half of the... I think I would. I think I would rate the first half of the film a 3, just for the recap, because this season, you have to understand, this season is incredible. But I don't think it deserved to be kind of cut into that recap. I don't think the recap was... It felt like a recap. It didn't feel like we were seeing Shibuya on the big screen, like we were seeing Hidden Inventory on the big screen. It just felt like they were slashing together reminders, and they just stuck in every single reminder. So I think I would give the first half of 3, just because we didn't need that, and I wasn't expecting it, and I was kind of bummed out. However, I think the second half of the film, I would give a 5. The second half of the film, as I said, covers the very first part of the Culling Games arc. And if you don't know, this is when Yuta Okotsu, who is the original main character of the series, comes back from his study abroad and he gets involved. I feel like if you're seeing the movie, you probably know what happens, but I'm not gonna give spoilers just in case. But I do want to say, this was probably the most incredible cinematic anime experience I've ever seen. There's only so much that the manga can do. There's only so much that a shonen manga can do when it's focused on intense battles. And Gege Akutami does a really good job incorporating meaningful details in the manga. And I think that this film really, really brought this to life much better than this season's and the other films have done so far. I think the animation was better than it has been in the past. I think the music was incredible. They did so many things that you can't do in a book, obviously, with lighting and color and movement. There's so much movement in this film. There's one scene where a couple characters are standing in a tiny cramped room and they're really tall looking down at this really short guy, and we see this bird's eye view, and one of them bumped a lamp on like a hanging ceiling lamp, and it's just like swinging and swinging and swinging over and over again, and their shadows are just going like this across the wall. There is a lot of flashing imagery. It feels very spliced together and kind of like glitchy to capture like the completely unstable emotional state of the main character. I do think they added a couple scenes, just like here and there, even little moments. The actual execution portion of the movie opened right after Shibuya, and it opened with this really intense, silent scene of Itadori washing his hands in a sink. And his hands are just absolutely soaked in blood. And it's like no matter how much he washes his hands, he can't get rid of the blood. And I feel like they just did a really good job weaving in those really impactful, quiet, visually stunning scenes. There's a stained glass window that's completely red and it's really beautiful. There's this one point where they're in a theater and the background of that is incredibly stunning. It's just visually very, very engaging and beautiful. The music was really good. The music played an incredible role. I think it was very well written and it was really haunting. I think I remember one part. It was like there was an out-of-tune piano being played from a different room, and that scored a scene. And then, of course, there's the fact, again, that this little mini arc of the execution, it basically covers 2 main battles. It's battles between 4 of the strongest characters in the series, and the way they fight and the way their movement is captured is not something that can be captured properly in the manga, and the anime, again, did a really great job bringing that to life. I will also say I was happy because it covered just a little bit more content than I thought it would. If you've read the manga, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read the manga, you don't know what I'm talking about, and it will still be emotionally impactful for you when you see the movie. I thought the trailers were teasing us, and it was going to end with the start by saving me Itadori scene. It did not. It did cover just a little bit of extra content when we see Yuki and Maki and Tengen right at the end, and that's kind of where it ended. So we got like just a little bit extra than I thought we would, and that was kind of nice. The actual scene I just referred to, the start by saving me Itadori scene, I don't think they could have done that better. I think fans, we were really, really excited and really, really worried about that scene, and I think they did it perfectly. Again, with the movement, I mean, we get like little characteristic mannerisms from Fushiguro that we don't usually see. The desperation is peak. The shots, like the camera shots, the way they set up the backgrounds in the film were just absolutely incredible. And I really think they did that scene justice, and I really think they did the entire little mini arc justice. And I'm really, really excited with this new animation style and the way they're incorporating so many details and emotional scenes. I'm really excited for season 3 and seeing that continue, because the Culling Games is a really big arc, and I think I know where it's gonna end if we get a cutoff between season 3 and what might be season 4. And so, yeah, I feel like this film, you know, the 45 minutes of new content we got really set it up well and did a good job, and I'm really thankful I got to see it on the big screen. So yeah, first half of the movie I would rate a 3. It's just Shibuya again. I mean, if you've seen it before, you know what's happening. And second half, I would rate a 5. Thank you for listening to my review of Jujutsu Kaisen Execution, and I will see you when another anime movie comes out. Bye!